and welcome to Hypothetically Intentional, where we ask the question, what if we set intentions with everything we do? I'm your host, Michelle Aubers, and today I have Laura Marks, owner of Indy Tangles, with me, which might give you a hint as to what we might talk about. Welcome, Laura.
Welcome. Nice to be here.
I'm so grateful you're here. I asked you before we started if you'd be willing to set an intention, and you said yes. So what's our intention for today?
Well, my intention is to get to know your audience, and explain a little bit about myself and Zentangle and how wonderful a method it is, and just share my passion about it and how it's helped me and helped me to help others.
I love that. I love that intention. I think my first question before we dive deep into Zentangle, wherever that takes us, and we'll have to start with explaining what it is. But are you like, was that your beginning uh journey into the creative arts, or were you already in the creative arts?
Oh, so I have a really good Zentangle story, but to answer your question, no. I am an artist. I went to school and majored in visual arts. And when I was a teenager, I competed in a lot of different art exhibits, which I don't recommend doing unless you want your soul crushed.
I feel like there's a story there.
And I mostly worked in watercolor, and I still love watercolor, but now it's a whole different thing for me. So my wish is that I had known about Zentangle when I was younger because I was very hard on myself and I put
Mm.
restrictions on myself as an artist, which don't exist because art is just how we interpret the world, and there's no wrong way to interpret the world because you're interpreting it.
That's amazing. I love the way you just defined that. That's amazing. Because what I was hearing when you were saying it is like, it feels to me like you're saying art is the language of the soul. It's like it comes from within and then goes out into the world, whatever that means. But I love what you said about it's how we interpret the world, which is very personal.
Hmm.
No one can
Hmm.
tell you you're doing that wrong, and yet we tell ourselves all the time.
I
Like, why
know, isn't
would I
it
do that?
silly? And just to touch on what you just said, one of the things that I used to struggle with when I was selling my art, I got very possessive of it, which I think is normal with artists. And the way that I got through it was that, and it kind of goes to what you were saying, is that um, everything that I use to create the piece of art is inside me and accessible anytime I want it. So I'm giving this thing, like, I'm parting with this thing, but I can access it any time because it's a part of me that comes from inside of me. And I just love thinking of art that way. And I try to, tell people that, it's all in here. Like you can access it. You just have to be open to it.
Yeah. I love that. I love that I can see being possessive of something you created and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm giving this away or selling this, or somehow it won't be like in my sight, my view anymore. But I
Mhm.
love the perspective that, well, wait, hang on. It came from me. It is of me. I can access it anytime I wish. That's such a beautiful perspective. Um, and I guess I haven't really thought I don't typically sell my art, so to speak. I mean, I suppose on some level we all do, right? Because anything that comes of us is a creative art in some way, shape, or form. But I haven't really had the experience of being really attached to something that I created and like being sad about giving it away.
Mm.
But I kind of get it. I used to make quilts, like I called them cuddle quilts with a friend. We had a business and we made little cuddle quilts to go over baby carriers. And sometimes it was like, oh, that one's so cool. I mean, it was definitely not for me. It was made for someone else. But sometimes it's like the hours, the love, the time, the energy put into it. It is sometimes hard to part with.
Yeah, it's a piece of yourself.
Hmm. So talk to me a little bit more about Zentangle. And we should start by just defining like what is it?
Yeah. So Zentangle is a method of creating abstract art through structured patterns. And a lot of people think, oh, it's just like doodling, but It is and it isn't because there's a lot more organization that goes into it. Every name, every pattern has a name and they're non-representational. And they're non-representational because a lot of times, again, if we there's no mistakes in art, but if something is named lily pad and you're drawing it and you're like, well, this doesn't look like a lily pad,
Mm.
you've got that internal voice that's saying, I'm doing this wrong, I should stop, I can't do this. Whereas if it's named, I'm thinking of the Tangle Nice that's spelled with Gneiss.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what that is. Sometimes you can draw it making it look like a lily pad. And my point is that um, by taking away the names from these patterns, you're just kind of freeing yourself and letting yourself go and just creating art for the sheer joy of creating. And I always like to tell my students that it's nice to produce a nice piece of art, but the process is just as important, probably more important, the way you're feeling when you're creating, because I tell my students, you want to be here because you're enjoying this. And the minute that you're not, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. Because if it's not enjoyable, then why are you doing it? So I try to make my classes enjoyable and not focus so much on the outcome. I know sometimes people are really focused, and that doesn't mean that I'm not sometimes focused on the outcome too, but focus more on like how you're feeling, how this makes you feel. Um, you know, um, the satisfaction of drawing repetitive lines. It can be really, really soothing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my experience for sure. I did not expect Zentangle because I'm also a CZT. We're both
Hmm.
CZTs. I just did not expect it to be such a profound, useful tool, which I don't love describing creativity and art as a useful tool, but it 100% is that for me, as much as it is a creative expression of myself.
Hmm.
It's helped me in a million different ways unexpectedly. And I think part of it is what you just talked about, it being about the process. And the outcome is a lovely little benefit, but it doesn't, it's and I too can sometimes be like, oh no, the I have a certain way I want this to look or feel when I'm done. And I can notice that and embrace it, or I can notice that and get perfectionisty about it, right? And they're two
Hmm.
different things. And it
Yeah,
kind of taught me that there are two different things and that I can actually exist in both and I get to choose which one I want to be in. And I'll tell you what,
absolutely. Yeah.
perfectionist is not fun.
Yeah, no, it's not. And like I said, it's soul crushing.
Yeah.
Because all the joy, and that brings me back to when you asked me about my background. I had gone through 4 years of, art, and by the time I finished, I was just like, I never want to draw again.
Mm.
Um, I just all the joy had been sucked out of it because I was tired of doing things on demand. So for many years, I have three kids. They're all grown now, but my art was limited to drawing Scooby-Doo. Mom, can you draw me Scooby-Doo? Can you draw me Snoopy? And they knew I could draw and I would, decorate things for them and make things for them. And we did a lot of arts and crafts, but that was art for me. And I have a cool Zentangle story if you want to hear it.
I would love to hear it. Yes,
I
please.
I went on I belong to a very a liberal church. I'm a Unitarian Universalist. I don't know if you know what that is. It's very liberal. So I had a friend that was going through a really tough time, and they were having a spiritual retreat at my church, and did not want to go. And she pretty much was like, please, please, please. So I went on the spiritual retreat, and at the retreat, the woman that was running it had us all bring something that was meaningful to us. And one of the women in attendance was a CZT. She became a CZT. She wasn't a CZT yet. And her name was Judy Engelhart. And I'd never met her before. And she pulled out a Zentangle and little black and white square. And I was like, oh my gosh, I draw like that. And she was like, oh, it's this thing called Zentangle, and I'm going to become a certified Zentangle teacher. And I just was hooked. And when I went to the retreat, one of the things that I was hoping for was I was at a point where my kids were getting a little bit older. I was working part-time and I just felt like something was missing. I felt like I was feeling very unfulfilled. And I just was looking for some kind of thing to feel like satisfied. And never in a million years did I think it would be art. And it turned out it was. And I just got hooked. And this woman, Judy, and I she was old enough to be my mom. She became one of my closest friends. And we would go to art retreats together. She introduced me to all her Zentangle friends, who now are some of my closest friends. Um, and we became I became really good friends with her daughter. And sadly, Judy passed away. I want to say it's been 3 years. Um, and I was asked to speak at her memorial, and I gave this whole speech about how she changed my life. She really did. I mean, and so did the woman, my friend Felicia, that brought me to the retreat, and the woman that ran the retreat. And I still have connections with all three of these people. And yeah, it was life changing. And I feel like when you ask people their Zentangle journey, so many people have stories about how Zentangle entered their life like right at the moment that they
Mm.
were ready for it or needed it, or it came at a point where they were down and it was the thing that got them out of bed. I've just heard so many stories, like just really like profound stories about how it's been life-changing for people.
Yeah. What I love, there's so many layers to that story. And I think one of the biggest ones that we haven't really talked about at all yet, but that's community. Like
Hmm.
bringing people together and coming together and finding your soul family, for lack of a better word. I mean, maybe that's the best word. I don't know. It depends on who you are and how you show up. But I just think the ways we connect with people that can be raw and unexpected, I guess, is just it's so magical. It can truly change your life. Um, and I feel like in your story, it was like you got curious.
Yeah.
Like she showed this thing and you were like, I do something similar. Tell me more. And then next thing you know, it happened, you went and
Hmm.
met people and learned how to do it. And so is Zentangle the main form of art that you teach these days, or do you teach kind of across the board all kinds of, I don't know why I'm even asking that. I'm just curious about it.
Yeah, I feel like everything has its roots in Zentangle. I really like you were talking about how like what it means to you. And for me, I feel like it's like a practice for me,
Yeah.
like meditation or yoga. I draw almost every day and or like prayer. Um, so it's so everything has its roots in Zentangle. So although like I might do some watercolor, abstract watercolor, there's always a Zentangle element in there. I like doing mixed media collage too, but I usually try to get a little bit of Zentangle in there. I feel like um, I feel like it's like the roots. And I have we were talking about community. I have just this wonderful supportive friend group that I've developed through Zentangle. And one of my friends, she's a CZT, Tracy Lake, was talking about it when we were getting together maybe a year ago. And she said, I think the reason why all of us have kind of branched out into different kinds of art is because Zentangle gives you the confidence
Mm.
um, to try other things. And once you learn how to draw like this, and you do it, and you're like, oh my gosh, look what I made. And
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, I did this. Like, I wonder what else I can do. And we call it like the gateway drug to other art,
That's
because it
awesome.
really does. Rick and Maria, the creators of Zentangle, say anything is possible, one stroke at a time, and everyone's an artist, and we all have the ability to create art. We
100%.
all have the ability to create. Um, so I feel like it gives you that confidence and and again, like you said, like that curiosity of like, what else can I do? What else am I capable of? Or what else can I try?
Yeah, without a doubt, I fit into that category. I would never have called myself an artist. Sometimes I still forget. Like, oh yeah, I am one. Just because it's not a word or a label or a passion, I guess, that I used to have. but Zentangle for me is much like you said, it's a tool. Like I talk about building a soul care toolkit. It's number one on my list. It's out on my desk all the time because it is the one thing that I know I can count on that will slow my mind, calm my pulse, bring me to a place where my mind can open and I can get divine downloads and I can get to that place of curiosity even. And I used to be the girl who just like beat herself up because it wasn't right or it wasn't good enough. And for whatever reason, and I don't think Zentangle's the only thing that opened those doors for me, but it definitely played a really big part in me just being okay with being like, I can explore and be curious and understand that not every tile that I draw is meant to be like I don't have a finished expectation. In fact, most of them don't have a finished expectation. Sometimes I'm drawing because I'm like, oh, I want to create this wreath or I want to do this thing. But most of the time it's not at all that. And I think it's offered me that opportunity to just to be okay with being an artist and leaning
Hmm.
into that and claiming it. It's so good.
Yeah, and every experience that you have, as far as drawing, I always feel like even if you really dislike what you created, there's always something to be learned because you're like, well, I don't want to do that again,
Yeah,
or I didn't like
for
drawing
sure.
that, or these two things really don't go together. So I always try to like, there's always something useful that you can gain out of the experience, even if like there's always something.
100%. And also sometimes like I don't like it in the moment I'm drawing it because I have that like preconceived notion of what it's supposed to look like. But I do find if I set it aside and come back
Yeah.
to it later, I'll be like, oh, this is cool. Who drew this? Oh yeah, that's right. That was me.
I know,
And then
I do
I'm
the same
inspired.
thing. I'll do things where I'm just so frustrated I had this idea, and then I'll go back and I'll look at it again. And like, as time passes and you gain experience and you have experiences, it's just like anything. You look at it differently and then you see things differently and you're like, huh, well, what if I did this? I mean, there's so many life lessons that I think you can take from Zentangle as well. I one of the groups that I work with, I didn't mention I have a degree in counseling, another unused degree. And that was I got my master's while I was raising two small children and working part-time. And
Mm.
that experience was even more strenuous, more excruciating than my art degree because that finishing that degree, I felt like I was dragging myself across the finish line. It was very hard. And I realized at the end, I love connecting with people, but being a therapist is not, um, it's not something I'm good at. I just am not, I don't, it's not for me.
Yeah.
And what I like about Zentangle and being able to work with people through. So I went back and just last year I got certified as a health and life coach because I was like, this is more my speed. Um, because what I really like doing is I like connecting with people through art and I like helping
Mm.
people through art and trying to develop, still in the process of developing, working on my coaching practice and developing um, working it around art, but also, a lot of goal setting, but and habit changing, but ways to do it that you can incorporate Zentangle or any kind of creative art into it.
That's awesome. I love that combination.
Yeah, so I think the reason I started talking about it was that I work with so one of the groups of people that I work with are it's a cancer survivor and caregiver group through a local hospital through their integrative therapy program. And I've been doing that for 10 years now. And I have some people that I started with that have been with me for all 10 years. And some people, I've got some people that I've seen through multiple rounds of cancer treatments. I've have multiple students that have been in treatment with other family members that they've invited to my group. I've had people that have lost children. And gosh, it's just there's just a whole multitude of things that I've learned through working with that group. But one of the things that I like to tell them is that, because they can totally relate to this, is like sometimes like you might draw a line that you weren't. meaning to draw, but it happens. And just like life, you could be going
Yeah.
along life and something happens and you're like, I didn't plan on that happening. And then you have a choice. You can either take the piece of paper and throw it away, or you can say, well, it's there now. What am I going to do with it? And everybody in my group can totally relate to that because they've all had to, completely had their lives, turned upside down from a health crisis. So I think they appreciate that. And I would say that most of those people in that group are using Zentangle. Some are using it as like stress relief and anxiety relief. A lot of people are using it as a like a pressure release valve,
Mm.
a little escape hatch, some place that they can duck into when things are getting really rough. And I don't care what they're using it for because I just think I can't imagine that there's any negative thing that you could use Zentangle for,
Right. Well, and that's personal. What do you need in any given moment? I mean, my practice
Hmm.
is different every day when it's like it depends on what I need in the moment as to what comes in for me or how it supports me. But
Hmm.
I've been doing it long enough that I can recognize it's not the same every day, but it's
No,
always
no.
beneficial.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
That's the one thing, that's the one constant that doesn't change. It's beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Working with population or pockets of communities where support is hard. You know, I have some similar experiences of places I volunteer or just even working with clients. Most of my clients working with the populations you're talking about is through my energy work stuff. But you just learn so much. And I think that one of the things I love about Zentangle specifically is it doesn't have to be a long pocket of time to give you immense amounts of reprieve. I mean, classes can be a couple hours, right? But your personal practice can be what, 15 minutes, 20 minutes,
Mhm.
5 minutes, whatever you have to sit down and give yourself those moments to just create some space and breathe a little easier. And it might not go away for a long period of time, but at least you get a pocket. I mean, I always get a pocket, you know? And if you're new to the method, maybe it doesn't feel that way. But I feel like if you're in a class and you have a teacher holding space with intention who knows how to hold space for maybe some heavier stuff, like what a beautiful gift you can give and door you can open for people who just need it. I don't know how
Hmm.
else to say it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I'm so fortunate to be a part of this program. We have a lot of they call us expressive art facilitators, and we've got some amazing people. We have one person, I don't know if you're familiar with soul collage. Um, it's kind of it's very cool. You would really like it, I bet,
It
because
sounds like I would.
yeah, you have images that you put on a board, and she picks the images, the person that facilitates it, and you have a certain amount of time to choose your images, and she has a rule like if you touch it, that is
It's
yours.
yours.
Yes, because there's a reason why you touched it, and then you arrange it on the board, and it's so interesting because she does. It's almost like she does a reading, because you're arranging these images, and there's specific meanings for some of these images. It almost reminds me of like a tarot card reading, um,
Cool.
where she picks up on things that are, kind of underneath the surface based on the images that you selected and where you put the images. It's really cool. I've done it with her a couple times, and it's really cool.
That sounds amazing. It sounds like I mean, I don't know. I guess I kind of don't want to put words to it to like take away from it, but it sounds a little bit like a vision board, but so next level. Like
Yeah,
vision
yeah, and
board meets tarot reading, meets intuitive reading, meets oracle, meets coaching, I don't know. It just sounds
yeah,
like that sounds amazing.
it's very cool. I mean, she's just one of the cool artists. We also have another woman that does crystal bowl, um like the vibrations, and oh my gosh, if you've never done that. And she's also a cancer survivor, and just um she must have like 50 of these bowls that she, spins
Hmm.
the I can't remember what the thing is that you
The
go
mallet
around
around
it.
it. Yeah.
and it starts vibrating and you can feel it throughout your whole body. And
Mhm.
then like she'll come and stand over you with one, and it's just amazing. And she swears that part of her recovery was due to the vibrational therapy that she received. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I can
100%.
totally see that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
very cool.
I use sound in my Reiki healings, and it's between Tibetan singing bowls and drums and tingsa, and I mean it's like it's in I don't know this there is I mean even just music. Think about music. I don't know. I love
Mhm.
how we're going all over in creativity because but
Yeah.
creativity is so I mean it's so good for us. It just like I don't know, we can be so rigid and stuck in our minds, and I feel like there's something about creativity that takes you to your heart. It takes you into that soul space and you can't help but go there if you're truly being creative. That's how it feels to me.
Yeah, and I just love that like this program uses all these therapies that, are people would be like, you're not going to go to the hospital to receive, crystal bowl
Right.
therapy, but it's available. It's a grant-based program that we're operating under, and I feel like I am just so lucky to be a part of it because it's an amazing group of people, and I've just been exposed to so many cool concepts, and it's really like being a part of this program has really changed my view on medicine and health as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. So where are you located? And is this only local in your area or is it nationwide?
I'm in West Hartford, Connecticut, and it's Hartford Hospital, which is the hospital that runs this program. And I think this, like, I don't know how hard it is to get the particular grant that I mean, there's a lot of different grants out there for like holistic medicine and art. And it
Yeah,
just happens that our program administrator, found this one, and well, actually someone else did, and she continues it. But yeah, I am just so lucky. And when I tell people about it, they're like, how does this hospital? And I feel like too the hospital up until recently they have not been doing a good job promoting the integrative therapy portion of this. So I feel like it's something that I like too because I feel like I mean getting a cancer diagnosis sucks. And then to find out that like well I could you know, go like one of the places I do so most of my work is online, but I do a cancer support group in person like one day a month in another in like a satellite hospital where it's just all outpatient where people can go and receive their treatment. So some people, um, will like actually go get their treatment and then come, if they're feeling up to it, come to a session. And the way that we all kind of agree to run the sessions are we just kind of sit and create art and talk and we just let it flow. And
that's
it's
awesome.
very unstructured. Yeah. Sometimes, the therapist in me has to come out, but not very often.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that so much. So it is specific to your area, but there might be similar things around. You
Yeah, I
just
don't
have to kind
know
of look and
how.
inquire about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think every hospital should have it, in my opinion, and it's a wonderful program. And we just had so one of the requirements of the grant is that we put on an exhibit because they'd like to see what we're doing with their money. So we do this is we our first exhibit was scheduled for April of 2020, and you can imagine that
Oh, yeah.
happened. I made a I had I think it's 12-sided this object called a dodecahedron, which I think is a 12-sided object, and I got it from the dollar store. And it was huge. It was like this big, and everybody tangled on a different portion of it, and then I glued it together, and that was part of our exhibit. And we had so many awesome pieces, and they all eventually found their way they're now on display in the hospital and different satellite offices too. But we just had our second annual gallery night, and a lot of my students came, and usually we have like two or three people that will get up and speak about the program. People that were cancer survivors and they talk about their experience of how the program helped them. And it's always just really, really super moving, and you feel just so humble and and proud that that you're a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know, sometimes there's something about back to community events or community things that make it the meaning that's just more meaningful for
Hmm.
whatever reason. And maybe that's not fair to say. Maybe more meaningful isn't exactly the right way to put it because I think my own personal practice is pretty dang meaningful. So I don't want to like lessen that, but there is something just so incredibly beautiful and touching about being with others and collectively healing.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had an experience because we were talking about community, and like I said, some of my closest friends are other Zentangle teachers, and we try to get together. We're trying to get together this summer. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we usually go away, like at least twice a year. We have like different, some of them have like nice little destination houses that we can go to. And there was 2 Christmases ago, we were at my friend Julie's house in Stowe, Vermont, which I don't know if you've ever been to Stowe, but it's where the Von Trapp family finally
Oh,
made it to when they left Europe. So the Von Trapp family house is in Stowe, Vermont. It's a very quaint little town, and it was like the week before Christmas, and we were in like the Vermont, like the equivalent of the Vermont Country Store in Stowe, which is a really nice little shop. And I was downstairs, and there was someone playing the piano, and there like it smelled really good because they had all these samples of like Christmassy stuff. And I was with my Zentangle friends, and I had like the most overwhelming sense of joy.
uh,
Um, and I love when that happens. And like when that happens, like it just washes over you, and you're just like, I want to just hold on to this and remember, like I for when I need it. And I could sense that, it was one of those times, and it was just the and when we get together, we all take turns teaching one another different
that's
projects and
so
different
fun.
things. Yeah, and I think that one I think I was teaching that time. And I just had just this overwhelming joyfulness being with these people that have like I didn't know them 10 years ago, and now they're such an important part of my life. One of them was just here last night because my oldest son's getting married, and she was like, "Oh, I'll drop off some dresses that might fit you." I mean, like that's how we are. We're
That's
like, I call them
amazing.
my sisters, my Zen
Yeah.
sisters.
That's so cool. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about how you teach to the public and how people can find you because I don't know. I just think we talked about so much about creativity and how much it can help us. And I want to make sure people know how to find you and also like how we know how you work in community and how you volunteer and how you work in various programs, but how do you teach to the general public as well? Yes?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
teach 2 public classes a month. So the name of my business is Indy Tangles. It's all one word, Indy, Tangles. It's named after my dog, Indy, who passed away. Ironically, passed away right after my friend Judy passed away.
Oh
In
gosh.
fact, the last conversation I had with her, it was when my dog, we didn't know it at the time, but he was dying, and Indy. And I was bringing her home, and she was not doing very well either. Just wasn't herself. And it was the last conversation I had with her, and we had this amazing talk about death and about loss. And I got a chance to. It was very odd. I think about this conversation all the time. I know I was explaining about Indie Tangles, but I got a chance to tell her what she meant to me and how she changed my life in that
Mm.
conversation. So I'm always grateful that that happened, and not that I lost my dog, but that was like the catalyst for having that conversation. So anyway, the name of my business is Indy Tangles, and you can find me. I think my website is Indy Tangles. You can just Google Indy Tangles, and that's me, indytangles.com. And yeah, you can find like all my classes. Like you just click on upcoming classes and you can see everything. So yeah, I teach 2 times a month online. I teach in my home to people, but that's challenging. My house is small, and I like teaching on. I mean, it's nice having that personal connection, but for me, I work full time as well. So online works better for me because it's just better for my schedule. But and I also have an art retreat that I do. I participate in a lot of art retreats. I'm participating in your art retreat. I've got a couple more that I'm doing online. I'm doing some collaboration with some other CZTs this summer, and then I also run my own art retreat in West Hartford, just one day because that's all I can handle right now with a
Yeah,
couple,
that's
two more
amazing.
CZTs that I'm friends with, and yeah, I only we have 5 spots left, and that's never happened before. Usually, like in June, we're like, okay, we got to start filling up. But it's yeah, I don't know. I think just people are just there's something people just really like getting together and creating art. That like that's what I was explaining, like that joyful feeling, the joy of just being in community with one another and being around people that have a shared passion. It's very exciting.
Yeah. When is this is an in-person retreat in
Yep,
Connecticut?
it's September 26th.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that on information on your website as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
all your retreats on my website.
Yeah.
You got to kind of hunt around for it. My it's at there's a section called press and testimonials, and then if you scroll all the way down, you'll find links to all the retreats. I mean, I have this website. I'm really proud of it because it took forever to create.
Yeah.
And I did not do it myself. I hired someone. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice. So everything is right there.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, the virtual retreat is coming up end of June, and I'm really excited about it. And you're going to teach
Oh, good.
Zendalas on that one, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do a Zandala, which is a Zentangle mandala, which, you know, mandalas, have their own healing quality. Carl Jung used mandalas in his work. And yeah, and just, the repetitive strokes of Zentangle plus the repetitive aspects of a mandala, that just kind of go together. So
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
me too.
So I will post your website and information in the show notes just because I like to have it in both places.
Mhm.
So awesome. Is there anything else you want to share with the listeners today? I don't know. I feel like we touched on so much about creativity and what it means and how it can help, not just us, but like anyone who is, if you have even an inkling of curiosity or a call to something creative and you hear us talking about Zentangle today or any of the other things we've been talking about, find a way to explore it for yourself. I'm glad I did. I had a friend introduce me to it and I was like, wait, what's this thing? And we ended up taking CZT training together, and my life has
Mhm.
never been the same in the best way. And I just think, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
curious if you have anything else you want to add around art or creativity or really anything.
Just that, yeah, like I just feel like everyone can be an artist. And one of the most harrowing experience I had recently was so I mentioned that I work full time. I work in a law firm, which is like the complete opposite of Zentangle.
Yeah, I can
I
imagine.
work
You
two
need a lot
estate
of Zentangle.
Yeah, I have my boss has stopped asking me like what are you doing because he knows I draw while I'm working. I have to because it's stressful and I mean it's not stressful but it's fast paced and there's a lot of, things that have to happen at certain times. So to keep myself regulated, I'm always drawing. And so that I was asked by our HR department if I would, do a Zentangle session. And that was the the most nervous I've been teaching because it was showing my coworkers a side of myself that they don't really
Um,
know.
yeah.
And yeah, and that was an interesting experience, but I was pleasantly surprised how many people really embraced it and then asked, like, are you going to do this again?
Oh, that's so cool.
Because they all really enjoyed it. And I was just disappointed because only one attorney attended. And I was like, you guys are the ones that need this the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
even my boss was like, are you all done with your drawing thing? And I'm like, you should have been there.
Maybe next time. Sometimes they just need a repeat invitation
Hmm.
to actually lean in and try it.
Yeah. Because I think people are surprised.
Yeah.
Like I think people surprise themselves. We all, when we teach an intro class, I think all of us kind of do similar things, for the same reasons. And it's you get a lot of like bang for your buck, I guess.
Yeah.
And I try to give people like what's going to give them like, you know, the amount of time that we have, the most wow factor, because I think when you first start, you're not really thinking of like the meditative, relaxing benefits. You just want to create this piece of art.
Yeah,
Um,
you want to do it right.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And even with me, like when I was doing it, like I remember the time where I got that whole like, oh, this is what everybody's been talking about, the relaxation piece. It didn't happen for me until like a year in that I was doing it.
Yeah. It's not necessarily instantaneous,
No.
but there's something there that kind of keeps you coming back for whatever reason.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can get a glimpse of it and you're like, I
Yeah.
want to attain that.
That's amazing. I love it. I love your response being anyone can be an artist or everyone is an artist. I absolutely
Mhm.
love that because I would have fought you on that like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Like, no, that's not
yeah.
true. I'm not one.
No, people, I mean, everybody, we're all born with that creative instinct. And like and even like the whole meditative, like, anything can be, anything can be an artistic expression and anything can be meditative. It's all how you perceive it.
Yeah. That's a mic drop right there. That's so good. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it,
Thanks,
Laura.
Michelle. This was a lot of fun.